Welcome to AP Physics classes. Let us see the question number 2 of 2021 set 1, that is the AP Physics FRQ free response question. So friends, in this video we will discuss the question number 2. Let us see question number 2. So the question is, first of all, we will read the question carefully and get the idea of the question. So a block of mass m, so this is the block of mass m, starts from rest. Starts from rest means its initial velocity is 0, so we can write u is equal to 0 at point A. This is point A, and travels with negligible friction. So negligible friction means its coefficient of friction, that is the mu, that will be equal to 0 through the loop. So this block will go through this loop like this, and after that it will strike to this spring. So travel with negligible friction through the loop onto a horizontal surface where the block makes the contact with a spring of spring constant K. So its spring constant is also given, that is equal to mg upon 2r. What is the r? Please see, r is this radius of this circular loop. M, what is the m? M is the mass of this block, and g, that is the acceleration due to gravity, that is the constant. So the first line is clear. This block is mass m. It will pass through the frictionless surface through this loop and strike to this spring. So the next part is, all motion of the spring is in the horizontal direction. So motion will the motion of a spring will be along the horizontal direction, in this way, along the x-axis, either compress or elongate in x direction only. Point C is the highest point on the loop. So point C is the highest point on the loop, as we can see in the diagram also. And point B is the rightmost point on the loop. So point B is the rightmost point. It is also clear in this diagram. Express all the algebraic answers in terms of m, h, r, and physical constant as appropriate. So what is the m, h, and r? It's clear. M is here. What is the h? H is here. This is the height, initial height from where this block will released. And what is the r? R is the radius of this circular track or this circular loop. Right, friends? So let us see the first question. On the dot below, which represent the block, draw an arrow that represent the direction of the acceleration. We have to draw the direction of acceleration of the block at point B in the figure above. The arrow must start on and point away from the dot. So friends, in this video, we have to draw the direction of acceleration of the block at point B. What will be the direction of acceleration when this block reaches at point B? So let us suppose the block is here at point B. So what will be the direction of acceleration? Direction of acceleration, it means the direction of net acceleration. So how many kind of acceleration is applicable here? See friends, first of all, there will be the one acceleration that is common, that is the acceleration due to gravity, that is pointing vertically downward, right? There is a acceleration due to gravity that is equal to g. So g is vertically downward. Just a minute. G. And what will be the other acceleration? Friends, as we know, in any kind of circular motion, either in horizontal circular motion or in vertical circular motion, there will be always a acceleration towards the center. There will be no any circular motion in which centripetal acceleration will be 0. For any circular motion, there must be a centripetal acceleration towards the center, always, either in horizontal circular motion or in vertical circular motion. There must be a centripetal acceleration, right friends? So there must be a centripetal acceleration. Let us suppose this is AC towards the center. So there are two acceleration. One is pointing downward and one is pointing towards the left, right? So what will be the net acceleration? See, one acceleration is pointing in this direction, that is the AC, that is centripetal acceleration, and another acceleration is pointing vertically downward, that is the G. So the net acceleration should be kind of this, along in between this. So this is the net acceleration of the block. So we have to draw this on this dot diagram, right? So draw an arrow that represents the direction of the acceleration of the block at point B. So the direction of acceleration will be kind of this. This is the direction of acceleration at point B. And justify your answer. So to justify, we can write there will be a there will be a kind of acceleration pointing downward, that is the G, and there will be a acceleration, that is the centripetal acceleration, that will be pointing left side. So the vector addition of these two acceleration will give net acceleration in this direction. So we can write A is equal to AC plus this G. So you can write this. So let us see the next part, that is the part B. Derive an expression for the speed V of the block at point B. So what will be the speed of block at point B? When this block will reach at point B, what will be its velocity? See friends, in this type of question, see, I think you know very well there are two theorems. One is conservation of total mechanical energy, total mechanical energy conservation. So what is the condition for total mechanical energy conservation? I want to explain the hidden theory part with this question also, so that you can understood the question as well as the concept behind this question. So we know the conservation of total mechanical energy. What? So the concept is total mechanical energy initially should be equal to total mechanical energy finally. But what's the condition where it is applicable? How we can find it is applicable or not? So there are only two conditions. The first condition is condition number one. What's the condition? There should be no any external force present. No any external force present. There should be no any external force present. Condition number two. There should be no any internal non-conservative force should be present. So what is the non-conservative force? So friends, non-conservative force is that force, non-conservative force. What is the non-conservative force? So let us we should discuss this on whiteboard. See, what is the non-conservative force? Non-conservative force is that force for which the work done due to that force is dependent on, independent on, depend on path followed. Work done depends on path followed. And similarly, conservative force will be what? Your conservative force will be that force due to which work done is independent of path followed. For example, for example, gravitational force. For example, gravitational force. See, friends, there is a block of mass m. Let us suppose this is on the ground level, and we have to lift this block through the h height, and we have to lift this block here. It doesn't matter how you shift here. You shift directly this, either you shift in this path, in this path, in zigzag manner, whatever your path, the work done will be same. That will be the mgh. That's the definition of conservative force. What will be the non-conservative force? For example, your friction. The work done due to friction is path dependent, right? So if you move this block by this much directly, so work done due to this motion, or in this motion due to this friction, will be different. And if you move this block by this path, will be different. Here will work done will be w1, here work done will be w2, here work done will be w3. So depending on your path, the friction work done will be different. It is just like, as you can see, if your car travels some distance, if you go from your school to your home, right, directly, so the work done on your tires, or the force on your tires, will be different. If you go like in zigzag manner to your home, the work done on your tires due to friction will be different, right? If you go like another way, so your again work done will be different. Why? Because friction is your path dependent, or you can say non-conservative force. The work done due to friction will be path dependent. How much you travel, if you more travel, more friction, more work done, right? So I hope you understood very well what is the conservative force, what is the non-conservative force. So the total mechanical energy conservation required two conditions. What are the conditions? The first condition is no external force. There should be no any external force. And the condition number two, no internal non-conservative force. Okay, friends. So let us see this theory on this question. See, first of all, I erase this thing because it is already written in whiteboard. I will also upload the PDF of this solution as well as whiteboard content. So let us see this question. So we have to derive an expression for speed v of the block at point B. Let us see how we can apply the total mechanical energy conservation. See, there are only two kinds of forces applicable here. One is the mg, acting downward. Second one is the your normal force, right? Internal force. Mg is a internal force, right? This normal is also internal force, right? So there is no any external force. Friction, since the coefficient of friction is 0, so frictional force will be 0. So there is no any external force. See, this is your external force, but this is 0. So we can apply the concept of total mechanical energy, right? So how we can do this? So the total mechanical energy at point A will be equal to total mechanical energy at point B. Total mechanical energy at point A will be equal to total mechanical energy at point B. We can write total mechanical energy at point A will be equal to total mechanical energy at point B. Since the block starts at rest, so its potential energy will be, its kinetic energy will be zero. See, let us suppose this is the kinetic energy plus potential energy at point A will be equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy at point B. So kinetic energy will be zero, potential energy will be mgh at point A. That should be equal to kinetic energy at point B. We don't know its velocity, with a half mv square plus potential energy will be mg, and let us see its height, that is the r. As you can see, the vertical height will be your r. If the block is this direction, so if the block will be at point B, so its vertical height will be equal to r, that is the radius, this r. So we can take this r. So from here we can see this n will get cancelled out. So we are getting gh is equal to half of v square plus gr. Let us solve this. So this will be gh minus gr into 2 is equal to v square. So we can get v square is equal to 2g h minus r. So what will be v? V will be square root of 2g h minus r. This is the expression for v. So this completes our first part. Let us see the second part of B. Derive an expression for the magnitude of the net force on the block at point B. What will be the net force? We have already discussed in the free body diagram. We have already discussed in the free body diagram. At point B, see, at point B, this block will have two kind of forces. First will be the vertical force, that is the mg, and second will be the centripetal force, let us suppose that is the fc. So the net force will be equal to fc plus this force mg. It's a vector addition, and since the angle between both is 90°, so we can write the magnitude of this net force will be equal to directly fc square plus mg square, right? So we have to find only fc. How we can find the fc? We know the centripetal force fc. Fc, centripetal force, is equal to mv square upon r, right? Mv square upon r. We know the value of m, so this will be m. V square is here, as you can see, m. So 2gh minus r divided by r. So fc is equal to under root 2mg h minus r upon r whole square plus mg whole square, right? So this will be the expression for your net force, right? Let us see the next part. In terms of r, derive an expression for the minimum height h minimum necessary for block to maintain the contact with the track through point C. We have to find the minimum height so that it's complete its vertical circular motion, so that the block at point C maintain the contact C. Maintain the contact at point C. What does it mean? To maintain the contact at point C, it means the normal force should be greater than, or should be greater than 0. Till your normal force is not 0, till your normal force is not zero, it means there is a contact. There is a contact between the floor or between the surface and the block. If the normal force is zero, if the normal force is zero, it indicates there is no contact force. There is a gap between the contact and the block, floor and the block, right? So to maintain the necessary contact, n should be greater than zero. For the calculation purpose, we will take the normal force is equal to zero. Critical case is equal to zero, right? We need the normal force should be greater than zero. To calculate the H minimum, we have taken this critical value, that is n is equal to zero. Then we will decide the height should be greater than this or less than this. Okay, so let us draw the free body diagram. At point C, there will be a mg, that is the acting vertically downward, and also there will be a normal force acting downward, right? See, and friends, as you know, the centripetal force, this is a very fundamental thing. Centripetal force, you should know, the centripetal force is not a new kind of force. Centripetal force is not a new kind of force. You will never have a formula for centripetal force, just like frictional force. Let us see in whiteboard. See, just like your frictional force, you know the formula mu into n. For example, gravitational force, that is equal to g m1 m2 upon r square. For example, electrostatic force, that is the k q1 q2 upon r square. For example, magnetic force, right? What is the formula of magnetic force? Right. There will be magnetic force formula. See, but you don't have any formula for centripetal force, right? You will never read any formula for centripetal force, because centripetal force is not a new kind of force, not a new kind of force. It's simply a name. Any force that is acting towards the center is your centripetal force. So the role of centripetal force is performed by any one of these or combination of these forces. So the role of centripetal force will be performed by any of these force or combination of these type of forces. Centripetal force is not a new kind of force. So for the centripetal for the magnetic force, please do comment in comment section what will the formula of magnetic force. Okay, chaliye, see. So to find the H minimum, see, normal is acting downward, mg is acting downward, and these two forces will act as a centripetal force. This is the centripetal force, that is the Fc. So here Fc, that is the centripetal force, is equal to n plus mg, and that should be equal to centripetal force, that is the mv square upon r, right? So to calculate, so v, what is the v? Velocity at point C. Whatever the velocity at point C will be this. So to calculate, we have to calculate the H minimum. But in this approach, we don't calculate directly H minimum. We are unable to calculate H minimum directly. Okay, so we can also apply the total mechanical energy conservation here also. H total mechanical energy at point A should be equal to total mechanical energy at point C. So what will be the total mechanical energy at point A? That is, kinetic energy will be 0 plus potential energy will be mgh. Potential energy will be mgh. That should be equal to total mechanical energy at point C. So the kinetic energy will be half mvc square plus mg into hc. So at point C, reference level is here. So the maximum height or height at point C is equal to 2r. So we can write mgh is equal to half mvc square plus mg, and hc is basically 2r. See, m will get cancelled out. So what is a vc? Vc square is equal to g common, so h minus 2r. So in this, we will put the value of vc square in this expression. So what we will get? We will get n plus mg should be equal to m vc square at the g h minus 2r upon r, right? That should be the capital R. Okay, friends. So we have to calculate the h or h minimum, right? So to for the minimum value of h, or to calculate the minimum height, what we have to do? We have to we have to make this n equal to 0. For the critical case, this n should be equal to 0. Okay, so 0 plus mg should be equal to mg. This is the h minimum now, to r upon r. See, this m and m will get cancelled out. So we have to find h minimum. So gr is equal to g h minimum minus 2 of r. G and g also gets cancelled out. So r plus 2r is equal to h minimum. Just a minute. Just a minute. We have done some mistake here. See, here this will be 2g. This 2g h minus r. This 2g h minus 2r. That's correct. This 2g h minus 2r. 2g h minus 2r. So what will be this? This will be r is equal to r by 2 is equal to h minimum minus of 2r. So we will get r by 2 plus 2r is equal to h minimum. That is equal to 2.5 r. So the minimum height is 2.5 r, so that it will lose the contact at point C, since we have taken since we have taken normal is equal to 0. So to make safe side, the height should be greater than this r, this value. As soon as your height will be greater than 2.5 r, this n will never will be 0. This n will be always greater than 0. So that's the logic behind this solution. So it is determined h is equal to 0.3 r, 0.3 meter, sorry, and r is equal to this if the block is released from a height greater than the height found in part C. So we have taken higher height. What would be the maximum compression X max of the spring? So since the height is greater than the minimum height, so block will not lose the contact at point C. So it will complete the vertical circular motion and it will go like this and strike with this spring. Since this will not lose the contact at point C, this will complete its vertical motion and go and strike with this spring. If it loses the contact at point C, it will simply drop down here or in between this. So this will not complete the vertical motion and will not collide with the spring. So here it is confirmed from the question that the maximum that the height is greater than the minimum height. So what would be the maximum compression of the X max? See, so what will happen? So again, we can apply the conservation of total mechanical energy. Total mechanical energy at point A should be equal to, so no, we can do not apply here total mechanical energy. Why? Because basically spring, if we will collide with the spring, see spring force is also a conservative force. Spring force is also a conservative force, so we can apply the total mechanical energy. Yes, we can apply total mechanical energy conservation. So total mechanical energy A should be equal to total mechanical energy at point, let us suppose D. What is the position D? When it will collide with the spring and it get compressed, some compression will be there. So what is the maximum energy at point A? That the potential energy will be, kinetic energy will be 0 plus potential energy will be mgh, right? That should be equal to this point when it compresses the spring. So kinetic energy will be 0 and what will be the potential energy? That is the half k x max square. We have taken maximum elongation. That means the kinetic energy will be 0 or velocity will be 0. Maximum potential energy, minimum kinetic energy. So from here we can get the x max value. X max will be 2 mgh divided by k square root. So when we will put the value of this, 2 m is given, let us, we will see the value of m. G is 9.8, h is 0.3 and k, let us see the value of k. K is mg upon 2r. K is mg upon 2r. K is mg upon 2r. So this will be mg upon 2r. So 2r will get upper side. This mg will cancel out. So we will get 4 hr. That is equal to 2 under root h into r. We will calculate this. 2 into h is, question is given, h is 0.3, r is given 0.1. So after calculating this, we will get 0.35, this much of meter. Okay, friends, let us see the E part, that is the last part of the question. A graph of maximum compression of the spring as a function of height is shown. So this is the compression, or we can say maximum compression, and this is the height. The height h minimum is calculated, is the height calculated in part C. This is the h minimum which we have calculated in part C, and what was that value? That is a 2.5 r. So this is 2.5 r. Explain why the section 1, that is the section 1, appears as a horizontal line on the horizontal axis. See friends, we have calculated if the height is less than minimum height, if your height is less than h minimum, so it will not complete the vertical, not complete vertical circular motion. So it will not collide with spring. So the compression will be 0. So explain the reason for the shape of section 2 of the graph. So if the height is, this section is h is greater than h minimum, so it completes the vertical motion and collides with the spring. So there will be a compression. But why its shape is just like a parabola? It is a parabolic graph, it's not a straight line. So again, we have the relation. See, here it is the relation between the x and h. See, this is the h, right friends? As you can see, x maximum is equal to under root 2 mgh upon k. So the relation between x and h is square root relation, not directly, not linearly proportional. That is the parabolic relation. X minimum is proportional to square root of h. So that's the parabolic relation. So due to this parabolic relation, the graph, the shape of the section 2 graph is a parabola. Okay friends, so I hope this question completed now. Yes, this question is completed now. So friends, if there is any doubt, any query regarding this solution, please comment below and I will reply as soon as possible. And for any live classes or demo classes, please contact the WhatsApp number given in description. Thanks for watching.